everyone. Welcome to LexTalk World Talk Show presented by ClickAway Creators. Today, we have Mr. Dinesh Pednekar with us. Dinesh is a seasoned dispute resolution lawyer based in Mumbai and a partner at Economics Law Practice, which is a leading full-service law firm. With almost the experience of 2 decades, Dinesh has significant expertise in providing strategic legal counsel and representing clients before various courts on complex legal issues in the fields of commercial litigation, arbitration, insolvency, and bankruptcy laws, including company law matters and white-collar crimes. So without any further ado, let me just introduce you to Mr. Dinesh Pednekar. Hello, Dinesh. How are you?
Good, all well. Thank you. How about you?
I'm
and
good.
A very good morning to you.
Good morning to you too. I'm good, and thank you for asking. Dinesh, we're really excited to know about your journey as a legal professional so far. So please enlighten us.
Yes. So I graduated in law in about 2001 from Government Law College. So it's been almost 2 decades of a very enriching and a happy experience in law. I'm absolutely glad to choose law as a profession because it's really not only made me a more mature person, but it has also made me a much more rounded personality. So my forte in law is in dispute resolution and alternate dispute resolution. And it has been a challenging yet a memorable journey. I started my career by practicing more of criminal law and slowly transitioned myself into shifting my focus to civil and commercial disputes. I've been fortunate to have worked with the best minds in this country, and really some of whom have been my mentors, and I'm really grateful to them to make me the lawyer I am today. I've also been blessed with superb colleagues with whom I've forged lifelong relationships and who've made me who helped me evolve as a person that I am today. If I have to talk about my practice areas, I deal with all kinds of civil and commercial laws, especially intellectual property laws, constitution law, company law, then insolvency and bankruptcy code, information technology, and many more. Apart from law, I love traveling, and I also like sports. But of course, because of COVID now, we've been reduced to just watching sports rather than playing sports. So yeah, so this is what I am in short.
All right, thank you so much, Dinesh, to throw light on your journey. Also, I know again it's an unfair question to ask, but can you please also throw light on the most memorable case or a transaction, and what were your key takeaways from there?
So in this span of 2 decades, I've done many cases, which almost every case has been valuable, and I've learned a lot from them. But there is this one particular case which was right at the primitive years of my career. Like I was just 2 or 3 years into law, and this case I distinctly remember. You'll be surprised to know that I didn't win this case. In fact, I lost this case. But I came out from that matter as a more mature person, and it changed my entire approach towards law. So this was a case where clients came to us. They were residents of a building, and they wanted to stall the redevelopment of a building in the adjoining premises in a very prime locality in Mumbai. Their grievance was that the old building was just a ground plus 1-story structure, and suddenly the municipal authorities had given them permission to construct a 30+ story structure. So exactly. So therefore, they just wanted to know as to how we can stop, because they believed that such a high-rise building in a prime locality and with the existing infrastructure, it would really put a strain on all resources, whether it be water, traffic, etc. So once we started, gathering more information about such permissions, we realized that it was a ground plus 1-story structure, and there were only 7 or 8 original occupants. The developer had, however, tried to show that there were about more than 30 people who were occupants. And the funny part was that just prior to applying for permissions for sanctions of the plans, the developer had obtained ration cards, electricity meters, water meters, gas connections for all these fictitious people. And on this basis, the authorities had given the permission to redevelop. Now, by doing this, the developer was in a double bonanza. Not only was he got the permission to construct a high rise and sell these flats, but he did not also was required to surrender the surplus area after rehabilitating the existing tenants or occupants that he had shown under the prevailing laws. So that was the benefit for the developer. So of course, we filed a writ petition in court. We challenged the plans and we prayed that the plans be cancelled and the building be demolished. Unfortunately, and of course, we were led by the most wonderful counsel, and he's today one of the most sought after counsels in the country. And on the other side was a battery of lawyers. Obviously, the developer had engaged a battery of senior counsels to oppose us. Despite our best efforts, we were unable to convince the court that this permissions ought to be cancelled. All that the court said was the authorities will look into it. But after that, nothing happened. So it was a very heartbreaking experience for me at that point of time, where I was really physically and emotionally invested in that case. Being a new lawyer, thinking that, okay, you had an open and shut case in front of you, but suddenly, you did not get the reliefs. And I was very sad. So at that point of time, my senior gave me very good advice that, funny things happen in court. At times when you think that you have the best case, you will not obtain any reliefs. And at times when an absolutely hopeless case, you will come out with the most unexpected order in your favor. So you have to let go of that. And the key takeaway was that, you never underestimate your opponent or ever undermine him. And you always you can never be overconfident, and you just have to work hard. So this was it. Maybe one more case in the recent past which I've done is with respect to an insolvency and bankruptcy code. It's a new act, so it's still evolving. And the question is that whether after submitting of a resolution plan, can the resolution applicant back out? So that question is still sub judice, but more or less the courts have indicated that, once you submit the plan, irrespective of the situation, you cannot back out of the plan. So that was also a very challenging matter that I have done right now.
Well, it was quite interesting, Dinesh, to know about the memorable cases. Also, talking about your specializations and diving more about your experience and expertise, how do you look at arbitration and litigation in 2021, and how do you think it's going to change maybe, let's say, 5 years down the line?
So I will answer this question in two parts. The first part is, how do I look at litigation and arbitration in 2021? Now, with COVID, we've all seen that COVID has adversely impacted all aspects of life, and a legal profession is no exception. If you would have come to me in 2019 and asked me that, what do you think, when do you think will virtual hearings commence in court? And I would have just laughed it off and said that it is impossible. We'll have to wait for 7 to 10 years at least more. But here we are. Because of COVID, all things have been pushed forward, and kudos to the courts, the lawyers, the staff, and everybody involved. Within no span of time, we got into this virtual hearing mode. And of course, the volumes are not as much as they would be when there was physical hearing conducted in court, but certainly the substantial hearings are going in court, and a lot of great case laws, cases are being heard and decided in court on a regular basis. In fact, now most of the courts are conducting virtual hearings, and hopefully even in the near future, post-COVID era, I don't know when that will be, but we will have more virtual hearings, and it is really effective. Virtual hearings have a lot of benefits attached to it, such as saving of cost for the clients. Instead of traveling to different jurisdiction, staying in hotels and stuff, it really saves the cost of a client. And plus, as a lawyer, I would say that it is very, very good for time management. I can sit in the confines of my office and home and appear in courts at various jurisdictions. So this has certainly helped us. So this is what we've seen in 2021, and I don't see that virtual hearings will be completely stopped, at least this year. Maybe even till it will continue till at least early next year, and hopefully it will continue for a longer duration of time. As far as my take on litigation and arbitration in 2020, in the next 5 years, I think things have really improving, and India as a legal jurisdiction is also improving overall. Like, for example, when I started my career in 2001, any case that you would file would take a minimum of 10 to 15 years for disposal. And I'm only talking about original proceedings. If we have to take the appeal process also into play, then you would easily stare at a time period of more than 20 years, which was unfair. So now, with the new system in place, with the new laws, the proactive reaction of the judges, this period is being drastically reduced. Now, in fact, I will tell you that I'm also a part of a committee, which is the initiative of Invest India, and which is working in tandem with the Department of Justice. Now, this committee comprises of partners from prominent law firms, and the committee has given various suggestions to the Department of Justice and the Invest India committee to, with respect to how we can expedite the disposal of all cases in the country. So one of the suggestions is that mediation should be made compulsory before initiation of any legal proceedings. So if proceedings can be avoided in court, conscious effort should be made by the parties, and it should be made compulsory. Also, the procedural aspect, we've also asked them to cut down on procedural aspects and several things, including curtailing the time period for arguments in a case. That we often see that lawyers argue cases for days and days. So if the time limit is fixed, then then the disposal rate will also become very high. And also, what the most important part is the enforcement part. Like, it's one thing to get a favorable decree in this court, and it's another thing to enforce that decree. So therefore, we've suggested certain measures that how execution of a favorable decree can be made in a very short period of time, say a period of 1 year or 2 years. So hopefully, if these suggestions are accepted and, more importantly, implemented, it will change the legal structure of this country. And with India being the booming economy that it is, a good legal system will always augment more investment in this country. So we are hoping that all these positive things are implemented, and of course we are headed in the right direction. As I said, what I started with and where we are today is a completely different ball game. In fact, you would now also be aware of insolvency and bankruptcy code. Now that has been a game changer, quite a game changer, though it is still evolving. But initially, large corporate houses who used to think that repayment to banks, repayment to its creditors was an option. Now they realize that it has become an obligation. So certainly, even in the negotiable instrument acts, there are several amendments which have taken. So the bouncing of checks is no longer such a simple act, and it's people know the repercussions now if you fail in that mode. So certainly positive developments in the industry overall.
Actually, when we're talking about the virtual hearings and everything, I just had this thought in mind that everybody is not really that, tech savvy, if I may call it. And, we have super senior individual legal practitioners as well in the industry who are 30 years, 40 years, 50 years experience. And what if because we cannot actually expect everybody to be well equipped with technology. So how about that? Like, what is your take on that when it comes to our senior legal industry experts?
Yes, in fact, you'll be surprised to know that no senior has ever made a complaint. Initially, yes, there were teething problems, and they would find it difficult to argue because the older generation lawyers always would prefer a physical hearing because they like to watch the reaction of the judge and accordingly tailor their arguments. So obviously they would be a little affected, but everybody has, I think, taken up to this challenge, and it being a forced one, not an imposed one, forced and an imposed one rather, because of the present situation. Nobody has a choice but to stay relevant. And these seniors also have the relevant technology or the assistant. Of course, they can afford the assistance of various people to guide them. All that they have to do is be glued to the before their screen, and the rest is organized either by their able assistants or their staff. And therefore, I don't see any problem as such. Yes, reading of documents on via soft copies is a different challenge, but that also what they do is they make us deliver the hard copies. They read their hard copies, and then while arguing, they just point out those those relevant pages while conducting their arguments. So it's not as difficult. Yes, it is challenging, but it is not as difficult. And today, everybody, I think it's been a number of years where we have all been slaves of technology in some fashion or the other. Like, for example, you cannot live without your phone. And almost everyone now today fixes the appointment over the phone itself or his iPad. So we are like slowly tuning and into the technology, and it's become a necessary part of our lives now.
Thank you so much, Dinesh, for answering that question. Now we have one more interesting question. That is, do you see a lawyer losing his relevance with the introduction of AI-based tools in the legal industries?
Okay, yeah. So that's a very interesting, but a very, very important question. I think AI is here to stay. It's already an integral part of our life, for example, within our phones. And certainly it is going to be an integral part in the legal profession. But I would say that rather than replacing lawyers, AI will automate certain aspects of lawyers' jobs. When I say this, I mean that, for example, certain aspects like legal research, okay, contract and document management, litigation document analytics. These are something which AI can definitely supplement a lawyer and help him to reduce the time hours spent in conducting unnecessary research and all. Because what you would do, for example, document management, compilation, if you are taking, say, a few hours, this can be done in few seconds. So this will in fact give a lawyer more focus and more time to concentrate on the finer things of the matter. So in fact, law firms are already using AI to more efficiently perform due diligence and including the billing and all. I think AI has always been there, because when we do a search for case laws and all, it is already part of the lives. But of course, there will be more custom-made, tailor-made software or intelligence systems which will be introduced in the near future. And law firms have already slowly started bringing them in within their fold. But whether like AI will completely replace a lawyer, I don't think so, because AI can never replace the human element of judgment, empathy, creativity, and adaptability. Now, for example, if I have to give, how are two robots going to sit across the table and decide, and engage in negotiation skill or convince each other as to what should be the price point of this, and the delivery times and the procedural aspects and all. So it is going to be very difficult for a robot to do this. Many times clients come to us, like there are certain kinds of disputes, as I would say, like family disputes, then I would say shareholders disputes, which involve a human element and communication. For example, in this situation, many clients who come to us are not only looking for a solution-based approach, but are also looking for counseling. That what they're doing is right and that they have been wrong. So they want to hear things which they want to hear from us. So this kind of counseling and this kind of reassurance that, okay, you've been wrong, or we will do this in a particular fashion, and we will try and achieve something for you. That I think only a human can achieve. I don't think if a robo or an AI tells I don't think you have any case, and the contract specifically provides this, so therefore you do not have any case. I don't think a client is going to like that, or cases can be decided in this fashion. Let me give you another example. If there is an interpretation of law involved, now with the AI, you can do an analysis of the section, how the courts have ruled on a particular aspect and all. But as a lawyer, I can tell you that there are several other issues involved. Like every case is fact-based case, and we normally try to distinguish or present a facts in a manner which say that, okay, this is why my client should get relief. I think that human element is also very important, which I don't think an AI can help. So in this profession of law, which is more based on communication, I think it will be hard to replace. So though it will reduce time, it will save the cost for a client, but overall, lawyers will not be done away with, or will be rendered redundant for sure. I do not think so. Just one thing I wanted to add. So I would say that AI will not replace lawyers, but lawyers who use AI will certainly replace lawyers who don't in the near future, because they will certainly have an edge.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Dinesh. It was really insightful. Now, as you have already completed like 2 decades in the legal space, so what challenges do you think you would like to tell the budding lawyers to prepare for?
So if I have to first, I'll start with a comment that, today's lawyers are really focused, really hardworking, and far more efficient than what I was at that age. Uh, they are extremely well read. They are more tech savvy, to be honest. But yes, there is a word of caution which I would like to give you. I see many lawyers want to be drafted in law firms which give them the highest pay, or in the top tier firms. But in my humble opinion, I don't feel that payment and being part of the top tier firms is a guarantee that you will evolve as a great lawyer, or it will lay down a strongest foundation for you. What lawyers need to choose today is a very good senior and a good opportunity. Often lawyers want to be involved only in high stake matters and don't want to be involved in normal matters. But I think this is another fundamental mistake which they commit, because you would agree with me that high stake matters have a lot of issues of sensitivity and confidentiality, as a result of which many a times these certain meetings are held in closed doors, and the freshers are not normally part of it. So if you're not going to be part of the decision making or the strategy making process, you are not going to learn much. So therefore, we should rather concentrate on matters which will give you a complete opportunity, and doing end-to-end work. When I say end-to-end work, means reading papers, being part of the drafting process, being part of the research, being involved in the strategy making and the decision making process, and also, of course, appearing in courts and all. So these would evolve you as a better lawyer, and not something, just as, of course, you will get those bragging rights that you were involved in so and so matter and such high stake matter, but it certainly does not guarantee you complete knowledge and success. So what I would tell them is that, accept all kinds of work and concentrate on work which will really help you. And the most important part is that never compromise on your morals and ethics. I would prefer to work with an average person who has highest morals and ethics, rather than a person who's intelligent and who I cannot trust when it comes to moral and ethics. So I think never compromise on that. Do the right thing always.
Thank you so much here again, Dinesh. My last question to you is quite interesting, and it's for audience as well. So what do you look in a person who is willing to join your team? What do you look in a candidate?
So the first thing which really interests me is his enthusiasm and his willingness to listen to you, to observe and absorb, and his enterprise, and also street smartness. Because I believe in a profession like law, you don't want any person to throw sections at you. You want a person who understands the nuances of a case, understands the client requirements, and accordingly, offers you a solution-based approach. So you need to you need candidates who are more street smart than just being good at academics. Now, unfortunately, even I have been guilty in the past that I've given preference to candidates who have a great academic record or who hold foreign degrees. But I think it is a little unfair. And I think good academics and a foreign degree is just one facet of a candidate. What is important is to understand the journey of a candidate, what situation he's been exposed to, and what experiences has he gathered from life over this period. Because I sincerely believe that everybody does not have similar opportunities in life, and everyone goes through his own challenges in life. So once we understand the journey, and if you select the right candidate, this candidate who has limited opportunities, but when placed in a favorable environment, can surely outperform even an Ivy League graduate, or someone who has a great academics, or always obtain distinction in his marks and all. So I have always believed that it is very important to understand the journey of a candidate before engaging him, And luckily, in the law firm which I am in today, ELP, we really put emphasis on selecting candidates concerning their overall personality rather than pure academics. So I think this is what we should all give a chance to people who have not been that fortunate to study in the best colleges or obtain the highest marks, but we must understand where this person is coming from.
Thank you so much, Dinesh, for sharing such great insights with us. And we really look forward to having a chat with you again on maybe some other trending topics in the international legal industry. For our viewers, if you like this chat with Dinesh, please like, share this video, and also subscribe to ClickAway Creators YouTube channel to appreciate what we do, and you have more coming from industry legal leaders. This is Bharti for LexTalk signing off. Take care. Bye-bye.